Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a female professional player in the male-dominated world of Go. A few years ago, at the European Go Congress, someone asked me, as a female player, what difficulties do you face in a male-dominated sport? A few years later, I got the same question again in the US. So I thought you guys would find this topic interesting. But honestly, back home in Korea, I rarely get that question. Instead, people usually ask me, Go doesn't require physical strength. So why do we even have separate tournaments for men and women? I think in the West, Go is still a new and mysterious game. And since it's male-dominated, people naturally assume that women must be facing some structural difficulties or a glass ceiling. They probably thought of chess. Historically, female chess players in the West faced a lot of discrimination, so they likely projected that onto Go. But in Korea, most people grew up seeing Go everywhere. We either went to a local Go academy as kids, saw our dads playing it, or at least came across it on TV. And during all that time, we never saw any rules saying, hey, girls can't learn Go, or women aren't allowed in the Go club. There was never any institutional discrimination. Everyone just naturally knew that anyone could start playing whenever they wanted. So people simply think, hey, you are using your brain. Why separate by gender? They see it purely from a logical and competitive standpoint. As for the first question, I don't really face any difficulties as a female pro. In fact, there are so many advantages. Let me go through them one by one. The first fascinating thing about being a female Go pro is that I can compete against men on equal footing. In physical sports, women can't compete against men without a handicap. There's just a natural gap in stamina. But we use our brains, so it doesn't matter if someone is a girl or a boy. Personally, I have this strong desire to just be who I am. And that's one of the reasons I love this game so much. On the board, it doesn't matter what your gender is, where you are from, how old you are. We are all equal. We compete purely on skill. The second advantage is that women actually have more opportunities. Before I get into that, I need to explain why a separate women's division exists in the first place. And this also answers the question I mentioned at the beginning, the one many Koreans ask. Like I said, there is no disadvantage for women in Go. So why do we have women-only tournaments? To understand that, we need to go back in time. Japan was the first country to create a professional Go system in the 1920s. Korea followed in the 1950s. But for a long time, women had fewer opportunities for education and professional careers, not only in Asia, but in many parts of the world. As a result, Go was male-dominated for many years. So the women's professional system was created to encourage more women to play. In Korea, it officially started in 1990, which means it's only about 36 years old. Women-only tournaments naturally followed, and that's how the women's division in Go began. But honestly, I think there is no real need to separate the pro system or tournaments by gender in the first place. Since there are so many women-only tournaments these days, some people argue it's unfair to men. Look at it this way. If a female player is good enough, she can play in both women's tournaments and open ones. She gets twice as many opportunities. In fact, female pros tend to make better money these days, except for the very top players like Shin Jin-seo, of course. For international tournaments, there is a separate women's division, and if you qualify, you immediately enter the round of 32 and get to play against the world's top players. Isn't that such a sweet deal? And since women's Go is so popular right now, women's tournaments just keep growing. But there is a potential downside. If female players only aim to be number one among women or only see other women as their competition, it can backfire. I remember a story from when I was an inse, 연구생. My dojo had a friendly match with another dojo, and they were matching players by ranking. I was actually in the overall top 5, boys and girls combined. But my teacher tried to match me against a female player instead of a top boy. At that moment, I felt it was unfair, so I spoke up. In the end, I got to play against a boy from the other dojo. And guess what? I won. Forcing me to play only against girls just because I'm a girl, that's exactly the kind of old-fashioned thinking I didn't agree with. Just like this story, I think it would be amazing if we all confidently strive to be the best, without letting gender, age, or anything else hold us back. Another great thing about being a female pro is the rarity factor. When I was an inse, only 7 or 8 out of every 100 players were girls, less than 10%. Today, about 20% of professional players are women. That number has grown, but women are still a minority. Go professionals are public figures who thrive on popularity. So in a male-dominated game like Go, being a female player is advantageous in a lot of ways. And finally, because it's a professional career, you don't have to take a career break. In fact, there are quite a few female players whose record actually got better after marriage and childbirth. It's a truly great career for women. If you look at pro players in Korea who have kids, they usually don't push their sons into Go, but they definitely push their daughters. Why? Because for men, the competition is too intense, and it's tough unless you are at the very top. But for women, the field is smaller, the competition is lighter, and it's a really attractive career path. So today, I talked about what it's like to be a woman in the male-dominated world of Go. Instead of facing difficulties, there are just too many advantages. Personally, I think being born a woman and building my life around Go is a huge blessing. What do you guys think? I hope more women start playing Go. And if you have a daughter, you should seriously consider letting her play. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!